Hey there, Open Forcers, and welcome to this episode of the Gig Academy, where we talk about all things gig economy and independent contractor related. Today we have Almaurice with Bon Voyage LLC on the podcast, and we're going to be talking to him about how he built his business. And Almaurice, thank you so much for joining us today, and I'm really excited to hear about how you built your business from being an independent contractor to now being a business owner.
Excellent. Thank you, Nick. Well, my name is Almaurice Russ, and I'm the owner of Bon Voyage. We serve as a courier service in the medical field. We are contracted with pharmacies, laboratories, and hospitals, and etc. We started Bon Voyage Enterprise in 2015, but we got into the delivery service in 2016, 1 year after starting the business.
Excellent. So Almaurice, what attracted you to, independent contractor gig economy work?
Just freedom to have have the opportunity to be able to control your destiny. And, it just gave me that independent position in the market, and it's all based upon how I can perform and how well I can get better, and I can create opportunities for myself and my community.
That's awesome, man. That's really great. So then, you started doing that. What was your first foray into, kind of like independent contractor work? You said, you started Bon Voyage in 2015, but then got into the delivery sphere a year later. What was your first entrance? Like, what was your first contract?
So So, the first, as an entrepreneur, you're always looking for various ways to serve. So you're constantly on this quest to figure out how can you make your service better. Initially in 2015, I gravitated to the transportation business, and we were transporting people, your local taxi company, if you will. We started off that way.
Yeah.
And then as we got into that, we started to learn to see the business, learning. It was like, hey, this is all right, but something else is there, so we're searching, seeking. And I happened to find an ad on social media about a pharmacy was looking for independent contractors. Oh. So I reached out and, went through the process, and I started driving on my own for the first 6 months to a year.
Okay.
And then after that, I learned the business, I learned the process, and I said, hey, man, I can actually duplicate myself. I can build a team, Yeah. And then I just began to recruit drivers, and now we're up to about 15 to 16 drivers. Yeah.
So that's awesome, man. I love your entrepreneurial spirit and, your DIY attitude. That's so great. How long did it take you to get to having 15 drivers driving for you?
Well, we started in 2016, and I would say about 5 years.
Okay.
Years. The first year was, obviously when you're trying to start something, it's topsy-turvy, it's kind of up and down. But then once you kind of get stabilized with recruiting and building strong relationship with your drivers, they're referring others, and then you kind of stabilize over the years. And then from there, things just get better.
Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah. So when you started getting into the gig economy and doing the transportation work, did you already have Bon Voyage formed, or did you just start Almaurice Russ, I'm here, kind of thing? Or where was that impetus for having your business file?
The LLC, we incorporated in 2015. So,
okay.
Yeah. So after, I was able to just, after doing it myself for 6 months to 12 months, and I was kind of able to incorporate the Bon Voyage brand into it, but it did initially start off as Almaurice Russ when I went into the field. And then awesome. I kind of brought the Bon Voyage concept to the transportation industry, and then I started to kind of blend at some point. Yeah.
That's awesome, man. So too, because I kind of to paint more of a picture too. What were you doing before Bon Voyage that led you to, starting to do contract work? And, what specific steps, once you saw, hey, I want to be an entrepreneur, I want to go in this direction. what kind of steps did you take, or was it just kind of overnight? Hey, let's file the paperwork. Let's get me on the road.
The love of business has always been in me. I used every every opportunity to train me for the position I am now. Prior to Bon Voyage, I was a manager at Quick Check, and I managed there for 5 years. And that was pretty much where I learned how to manage different things and to-do lists and different things like that, kind of give me that structure that I need. And I just took that mindset and built my company on that mindset.
Awesome. This is such a great conversation.
Right.
I think I've shared with you too, because you and I are similar. You're more successful than I am. I want to be where you're at some point, but like, I've got the entrepreneurial spirit in me. I think I shared with you. I started making knives last year during COVID, and
Nice.
it's just really encouraging to hear how you had that business drive and acumen, and you started somewhere, and now you're here.
Right.
And two, like one thing you said earlier, like looking as a business owner, how best to serve. And I think too, like if I'm not mistaken, because you and I've talked about this before, like serving in your community and how like you can help others. And
Absolutely.
so what's really, really neat to hear is just, you're already empowering other people that to get out there and do it themselves, and also 15 other people that want to go out,
Right.
work when they want to work, how they want to work, and have freedom in life. So you're an inspiration, my friend. I really appreciate you.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So now we got to get down a bit to the nitty gritty. What are some of the challenges of being a business owner? And since you've started this in your 6 years, wow, that's awesome. 6 years running your own business. What are some of the pitfalls that you've experienced running things?
Running things, I mean, it is definitely a series of challenges every day. It's kind of like from stages. We started off from, being able to meet the demand of work that's coming in. So you got to constantly be recruiting and training drivers. And, going from one contractor myself as a driver and then scaling the business out, that has been a huge, huge challenge. But at the same time, it's been enlightening to learn how to solve those problems. You become smarter. Every time you have a challenge, you overcome it, you become a lot smarter, but at the same time, you're ready to go into another challenge. So it's just a series of challenges. But if you have the determination, you just kind of overcome them and move forward.
Definitely. Would you say some of like the biggest like logistical challenges are kind of like what we're hearing with like recruiting, like compliance, just even like driver misclass? Have you encountered much of those being kind of the big three things that we hear about in the news?
Right. Absolutely. Yeah.
How do you go about to just with finding new drivers? What are your kind of methods of recruitment?
Well, we use different ads. We use different websites, kind of put the job descriptions out there. Word of mouth has been a very, very strong key point in my business. Like building relationships with one driver, two drivers, and then they refer others, and it turns into family, friends, then the community. So it's just a matter of the word just getting out there.
That's awesome. That is really cool. I asked, and we talked about this in the last podcast when we were talking about recruiting. Have you dabbled at all with social media? Because you mentioned that's how you found your first gig.
Right.
And are you messing around with? And I just love asking it. I'm not on TikTok. I don't like TikTok, but it is a powerful tool. Are you messing around with TikTok to try and find drivers, or?
Right. Unfortunately, I haven't got TikTok feeds yet.
Definitely, man.
It seems very intriguing, but I haven't reached there yet.
It's like you'd have to get like one of your nieces or nephews to do it, because I don't know how to work it.
Absolutely. My daughters would be my go-to person for the TikTok. But we utilize Facebook and Instagram mainly. Nice. Those are my comfort Maplewood's own social media site. So I tend to use those a lot to market different things that we're doing in the company.
So Almaurice, what have been some of your biggest accomplishments and milestones that you've had so far with Bon Voyage?
Right. Okay. One of the biggest things, accomplishment that I have with Bon Voyage is having the opportunity to employ in the community. That has been the most rewarding thing ever out of my entire career of building this company. Is you get the opportunity to work with really, really good people. And I think that's the key of, a successful business. You're only successful with the amount of people, the measure of people you have around you. When you have good people around you, the success is just limitless.
That's awesome, man. I love that. And I agree with you. There is so much freedom and potential for good in the community, like you said, because I wonder if you agree with me with being, your own boss, being able to work when you want to work. You meet people, you're able to find out, hey, so-and-so might need help, like you said, word of mouth, right. And like you're able to offer them some work and help them.
Right.
Maybe they fall on hard times, and maybe they find
Absolutely.
They love doing driving and everything. Yeah, and then then they're the next Almaurice. They create another Bon Voyage, and you got to say, I know them when, or just even to like, finding out your neighbor's hungry and you right. help deliver food to them. I mean, I'm sure you have a bunch of stories, to tell. Absolutely. And everything.
Absolutely.
Like in your community and everything. Absolutely. So that's beautiful, man. I love that. So, kind of along those lines, empowering people. You're an empowered person. You're an entrepreneur. You're a go-getter. You're a business owner and a father. Right. All of these wonderful things, which is so cool. And your daughters get to watch you, take care of people every day.
Absolutely.
What kind of resources have helped you in growing your business and also being a pillar in your community? Are there any specific books, podcasts, blogs, mentor? What's your secret?
Well, first I would say that my father, I call him Pops. That is one of my go-to guys, and he serves as a counselor. I'm filled with this ambition, and I have this vision, and I can actually converse with him and bounce ideas off of him, and we can kind of redefine the moment at that time to know, okay, this is the direction to take, and I'm going for it. So yeah. That I would say that's my key player. And then I have to admit, I'm a personal development junkie. I mean, I started personal development back when I was 19 years old. I listened to guys like Jim Rohn, Les Brown. I'm old school when it comes to personal development. I'm glad that I kind of gravitated towards it in such an early time of my life, because it helped transform my mind and helped me be able to see the things that I see today. But those are my guys, and I just explore. I mean, and especially with YouTube, forget about it. I mean, I'm like literally watching podcasts and videos all the time, because you just never know where that next idea is going to come from, or when you're going to be inspired to act, to move forward.
Definitely. There's one, and I'm curious if you listen to it. I think it's an NPR podcast called "How I Built This." Have you heard of that one?
Yes.
Those success stories, and I think too. I hope they hear this podcast and they have you on and talk about the gig economy, man. Because
absolutely.
Yeah, it's awesome to hear your story and how you got here, and I love to hear your dad as your go-to. Likewise, my dad, I woke up at, I hit the gym at 4, and then my dad and I usually try and grab coffee around 5 and just talk about things and catch up and everything. And he's my go-to as well. So I'm right there with you, man. And I'm so glad you have that. I'm so glad I have that, because
absolutely. It's the best ever.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's so cool to hear too, because so you just do you have daughters, or do you have also sons?
I have my son. I have 2 daughters. And my son. 5. My son is 5. That's my youngest one.
Oh, that's awesome, man.
They're older, they're in college, but my son is he'll be 5 in November.
That's awesome, man. It's gonna be so cool to like to hear because I'm getting ready to have my firstborn daughter in end of October.
Nice, congrats.
Um, thanks, man. So I'm gonna be coming to you for some advice on how to be a good dad to
Absolutely.
especially a girl dad.
Yeah, I'm here for it.
I love it, man. Thank you, thank you. I appreciate you.
No problem.
So Almaurice, you sound like you were kind of almost built for this. You know, your mindset, you started personal development at age 19. I don't know any other 19-year-old, definitely not me,
Yeah.
was already thinking this far ahead and this mature. So what really kind of mindset changes, or if any, that you had to make to kind of like step into this role of, entrepreneur, business owner, and also kind of in a way, mentor to, your drivers and helping them like get to where they're at.
Right, right. Um, I would say, is one thing I always say to myself is that you have to, when you're building a business, you have to stay in a number two position. A number two position is someone who's always training, coaching, and educating. And that's the only way that you're going to be able to scale your business and teach the process and policies and procedures to be able to run a successful business. So going from one driver, just me just driving myself and then being responsible for an entire team, I had to just kind of shift from an individual thinking point to more of a team perspective, building, sharing, and growing and coaching. And that's pretty much the two different mindsets between an individual IC versus someone who's building a company, which you're building a team.
Yeah, that's awesome, man. So kind of we're winding down here, but I kind of feel like we, this question might actually lead to a few more questions and everything, but for someone that is not, like a client of Open Force right now, but like they're rather an independent contractor and they're sitting at home, right? Or, would be interested in being an independent contractor. Maybe they already are, and they're already doing some gig work and they're sitting at home or they're on the road listening to this podcast, which I kind of hope that's the intent behind this podcast, is that people can be listening to it while they're in their car going about their day. What would be your advice to first getting started, finding that first gig, and then working towards, building their own company and having drivers under them?
Right. I would say study. I would say study, take actions, and make adjustments, because that is the formula. You study, you take action, and then you make adjustments. If you may make mistakes, you may get a couple of things wrong. Evaluate what you got wrong, make the adjustments so you can be better every single day, and just prepare your mindset to win daily. Every single day you have to program yourself to be motivated to do the things you need to do every single day to be successful.
Gotcha. So to build off of that, would you recommend that like an IC just goes after one contract, goes after multiple gigs, to start building their book of business, as it were?
I personally say start off with one contract, work that contract, learn it, and then teach it. Teach another job, recruit another driver, teach that driver how to do that particular job, and then that's how I started. Every job that I take on in the beginning, I did the job first, so that if I'm home and the driver say, "Hey, I'm having this problem," I can direct him exactly, what to do, how to solve the problem, so he can get his job done. So I would say start off like that, and then obviously, as business, kind of scale, then you can train someone else to go on job sites to learn it, so therefore they can be able to train it to new driver, teach new driver. Yeah.
So how long would you personally stay, like when you got your first contract, how long would you stay driving before you brought in a driver to take over your role, and before you chase down another contract?
The first time was the longest, which was 1 year. It was 1 year. I drove for 1 year by myself, obviously, because that was the beginning phases. But then as time progressed, that time begins to minimize. And I say the average time, I'll stay on a job for about a month, 2 months, just to kind of get all of the different details of the business, and then I'll transfer it over to the next driver.
Awesome. And then too, when you found your first driver, was it a close friend? Was it a family member? Was it like someone in, your like church or community, or how did you find your
Well,
first driver?
it was a very interesting experience. My first driver, guy that I was advertising the business, and it was a guy I went to school with.
Okay.
He reached out to me, say, "Hey, Al, man, I'm looking for some work. Can you give me a shot?" I said, "Oh, come on over." So I trained him. Unfortunately, he's not with us, 6 years later, but but it was a good experience. It was a good experience. I think he stayed with me for about 6 months until he kind of felt like it wasn't really for him, and he transitioned to another position. But he was able to, work in the industry for 6 months. And then from there, that kind of broke the mold, and then more drivers started to come in. I was actually devastated, when he told me he was leaving 6 months, because, your first job is attached to him, like, "Oh, what? You're leaving 6 months? Come on." But,
Yeah.
I tried everything to keep him to stay, but he said, "Nah, man, I have to drive the thing for me," but
yeah,
it worked out. It worked out.
Definitely. I mean, yeah, some people aren't cut out for it, but that actually leads to a really, really interesting line. Like, what do you do? Because I mean, obviously, you built a successful business. You got 15 independent contractor drivers under you. How do you get them to stay? Do they just naturally have a love for, the contract work and driving, or is there kind of like this Almaurice-ness? Is there something about driving for Bon Voyage that you've done, that secret sauce? Like,
right.
What is it you do?
I focus on my drivers individually, and I build a personal relationship with every single one of them. It's kind of like, raising your family, you kind of, it's like that type, and I create that family community feel. And, most of my guys have been with me since, from the time that we started up until now. But yeah, I would say just relationship building, just focusing on the driver and creating this relationship with them. And, just it's really genuinely, I really care. That's just really, that's really the main gist of it. I really care about every single person that's on my team. And I will literally do anything I can to make sure that they are, good.
That's awesome, man. It sounds like not only do you have a business mission statement, you have a personal mission statement. And kind of like from that, that's like what you built your business around. So absolutely. I think that's, would you mind sharing that with us if you've got it written? I'm a kind of guy, I've got mine written down, I think, do you have yours written down, or?
I don't, but it's more, it's like internal, it's this internal vision, this internal drive that just, I want to be able to create a better place, a better environment. I want to always be able to impose on my environment, change the narrative, change the story. That is my intentions. That's my motivation. And if I can express that through various of services in the community, in the world, I will utilize any of those services just to be able to fulfill that intention.
My man, I love it. That's awesome, man. That really is admirable and honorable, and I respect the hell out of you.
Thanks.
Absolutely. So kind of before we, closing thoughts and everything, what's next for you? What's next for Bon Voyage?
Well, we are actually in real estate. We're in real estate sales. We just recently got into real estate last year, December. So we are okay. So we're moving in the real estate industry. We have a few homes that we have listed, and we're working on rehabbing homes, and we kind of moving in that direction. Yeah.
So you're diversified.
Oh yeah.
Oh, that's awesome, man. That's pretty cool. So then in the real estate sphere of things, is there like an opportunity for more gig work, bringing on more, I guess, I don't know if it'd be drivers, but more independent contractors helping you with the real estate portion of it? Okay.
Right. With a lot of independent contractors in real estate as well. Yeah, absolutely.
Excellent. Yeah. Very cool. So Almaurice, any closing thoughts that you'd like to share with the audience, or, the guy or gal that might be out there listening to this and wanting to do and build what you've built?
Right. I would say, just trusting yourself and work on building confidence to be able to execute. I think that it's the smallest simple details that we be afraid to exercise, but if you exercise the small details every single day, those details accumulate into a great outcome. And you have to be in alignment with the vision, what it is that you want to fulfill. And the smallest step is better than not taking a step at all.
Amen, brother. That's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Thank you. So Almaurice, where can someone go if they're interested in driving with you, working with you, or hey, they might be a business with a contract that wants you to start carrying out that contract for them.
Okay, perfect. You can find us at bonvoyagetransport.biz. And also you can contact us at 1-800-357-9782.
Excellent. And do you guys have any social media like Instagram or Facebook or anything like that?
Yes, we do. We have we are at Bon Voyage Transporting on Instagram, and also on Almaurice Russ is on Facebook.
Excellent. Almaurice, it's been a pleasure. Thank you for taking the time to speak with us, and thank you for joining us. Seriously, this is a great podcast. I think that our listeners are going to get a lot to learn from you and from how you built this, and at the very least be encouraged and know that, hey, there are just good people out there doing good things in their communities. So.
Absolutely.
Excellent.
Thank you so much, Nick.
Absolutely. And thank you for joining us all on this podcast. If you like this, please share with your friends, and please feel free to subscribe. Check out Almaurice's and Bon Voyage's information in the show notes, and hit him up if you are interested in working or have contract work for him. Thank you all, and we'll talk to you soon, and see you next time on the next podcast. Have a great day.